We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
All right, welcome once again. Today I'm standing in for Hassani. This is the Couples Academy Show, and we're going to be talking about restoring trust, the power of consistency. I think this is an important topic, fellas. I'm Jeff Whitt, and I want to introduce the other brothers. Come on and just let these people know who you are.
I'm Roland Bradley.
Gunzalis Smith.
And this is my power squad from Foundry coming in here, and we're talking about restoring trust, the power of consistency. Go on and put your comments in. Let us know where you're from. Like, subscribe, share. Let your friends know you're on. And I'm going to just show a little commercial real quick, and we're going to get back and get right into this topic. So I just want to let you guys know that was Last Chance Week and a little insider's look on what it's like behind the scenes. That's one of the great things that I love about Couples Academy is that weekend. I mean, you're talking about 36 to 38 hours of pretty much just packed with information, packed with all that therapy, that counseling that you try to stretch out over 8 months, but you fight in between every single week. Instead, you get it all at one time so you can set that foundation so that the counseling can work from that point on. We have Last Chance Weekend coming up here in a couple weeks, and I want you guys to jump on board if you can. Get on the couplesacademy.org website, go to Last Chance Weekend and sign up. All right. So, guys, we're going to jump right into this. We're talking about restoring trust. I keep seeing this topic come up over and over and over again, from the women talking about their triggers and how their men are showing up, but they can't trust them. And I see also from the men, like, I've been showing up, but my wife can't trust me, right? When is she going to come back? Well, it really comes down to us setting the tone. I want to go to a comment only because it is so relevant from Brother Ben, who's here a lot. Good morning from Tennessee. Consistency is huge in a relationship, especially two men. Men want their spouses to remain the same. Women want to change their marriage. Is consistency harder for wives? Ooh. All right, Ben. One of the hardest things to do, there's a Bible verse about checking the sty in your own eye before we can look at anybody else's. And what I'm saying about that is a lot of us talk about what we want, but we've created environments, and I'm not saying necessarily you, I don't know your personal situation, but a lot of times we've created environments of inconsistency. And I want you to know what inconsistency is. It is a big, bold-faced, sometimes subtle lie. Inconsistency is when we are not able to be counted on because we're lying. We're either lying to ourselves, and in that, we end up lying to others. The lie that we tell ourselves is we're going to do something. We will literally say to our wives, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to start eating right. I'm going to take out the trash. I'm going to do this honey do that list. And then we say life gets in the way and I got busy and I got distracted. We're inconsistent. Now, should women be consistent as well? Absolutely. Of course they should be. But I want to tell you, when you're the person that asks a person out to dinner, you better get ready to pay.
Mm-hmm.
you better get ready to pay because you're the one who invited. Most of us men have asked our wives to marry us. We better be ready to set that foundation, that sure, solid foundation. And whenever we've gone into tumultuous situations that we've created of our own doing, whether that happened over a long period of time and there was a break, or whether we created it just because we were always that and they never got a chance to see it, we become very unpredictable and inconsistent. And when you become unpredictable and inconsistent in the foundational properties of the relationship, there is no room to even judge someone else until we become consistent on a regular basis and show up in the right ways over a period of time. What say you men to that?
Well, really, the fact of the matter is, men, we as the husbands, as the leader, we set the temperature for our marriage. We set the tone for our marriage. And our wives are only going to be as consistent as we lead them to be. Meaning that if we're not consistent in our ways, we can't expect them to be consistent in their ways. We have to lead how we want to be received. And so when he talks about, is it harder for our wives to be consistent? It's just harder for them simply because we're not doing our part. We have to be responsible to carry more weight than our wives and let them know that we're willing to carry the weight. To your point, if we're going to ask them to do something or ask them out or whatever the case may be, we have to be prepared for them. And being prepared is being able to lead and not just, say what we want or just use our irresponsibilities as excuses for them not showing up.
Absolutely. Gunzalis.
It's not fair how we expect women to carry the load for us when we're supposed to carry the load for them. And what happens is they do a lot of the work inside the home, and we want to be the providers. But within that being said is that when you look at the duties of the wives are doing all the housework, all the chores in the home, and then she's expected to work the 9 to 5 and then still, fulfill us, where it should be, tied in as a whole. You know what I mean? Help around domesticated work, do all the other stuff that needs to be done, help her out outside of just the trash. You know
a lot of times we build fantasies in there are all kinds of fantasies outside of our marriage, whether it be sports, whether it be drinking, whether it be alcohol, just escapism. And we'll find some properties in another woman and cause us to actually be led astray by that, not realizing that the moment that you end up, and this is pretty much true of every situation I've ever seen, someone will end up with that other woman and find themselves in the same hole because they never fixed themselves. And as long as it was a fantasy, as long as it was on the shelf and something they could chase over, the grass is only greener on the other side because you don't take care of your lawn. Absolutely. Real facts. I'm going to say that one more time. The grass is only greener on the other side because you don't take care of your lawn. So a lot of us are looking out the front door for a way out when we created a holy mess and a holy hell in our household with the way we've been showing up. Now, I'm going to give men a little bit of an excuse and a little bit of an out before we take a break. And I'm going to get your comments, obviously, gentlemen, before we do that. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a break. The truth of the matter is we weren't given great examples.
No.
We weren't given great examples of how to be consistent, right? We weren't taught how to show up. Maybe our parents, maybe we lived in a 2-parent household, but dad came home and sat on the couch and kind of let mom raise the kids while he did it behind his newspaper, his news, his ESPN, his Al Bundy syndrome, right? I went out, I worked, I brought the bread in, and that's it, right? So a lot of us saw that. Other of us didn't even have that 2-parent household. And so we walk in the world with these ideas and identifications of what it means to be a man, but no one taught us. And I hear this all the time from women and from men about their husbands don't need anybody to show them how to be a man. Really? There is nothing in life that does not take good practice and good guidance. There was a time in this world when men had to go through some kind of rites of passage, some kind of ritual, some kind of, and there's still cultures that do it. The Jews still do it. In the Jewish culture, they still do it. In several other cultures, they still do it. But there's a rites of passage to becoming a man. And most of us never, ever, ever receive that kind of training, that kind of attention from a male figure in our lives. And so I'm not giving you a way out, men, by saying that. I'm saying that we have to realize that if we're going to have to change that, we're going to have to break that generational curse in our families if we want to see a change in our households, and if we want our children to grow up and live lives that are as good as or better than we've ever done. You have to set that example and set a foundation that they can build on. It was Isaac Newton who said, it was Isaac Newton who said, if I see a little bit further, it's because I stand on the shoulder of giants. So we're going to have to learn how to rely on men who have gotten what we want. Our rule one, fellas, you got Foundry guys. Our rule one, we have to rely on finding men who have what we want and been where we've been. That excellent marriage has been the people that restore the trust. We're going to get into trust a little bit, but what do you guys say to what was just said?
Well, you made a powerful point, but again, Jeff, I don't want to run too far from you. But the old folks used to say, when you know better, you do better. That's and right. A lot of times we don't want to take the responsibility of knowing better. We want to sit in that state of, because we didn't see it, then we don't know how. The resources that we have today, and they have examples of men that can show us the way, but we want to hold on to not knowing, to use that as an excuse that we don't know. And so I don't want to it's a way out, but I don't want men to realize that they have to hold on to that, because the fact of the matter is we can do better, and we have to do better. To your point, we want our wives, we want our children and our children's children. Our children, they don't have to learn from what we say. They learn by how we move and how we act and how we do things. And so we have to make sure that we are setting an example for our wives, for our families, basically, and for ourselves, that we want more than what we have. And we have to use the resources that are available to us.
That's right.
Our greatest example is our Creator. He was consistent in everything that he's done. We have to just stand in line and stand forward and be in alignment to the examples that we have. Even though we didn't have great examples in the past, there is still hope for us to have greater examples in the future and moving forward. So looking back, you can't get back those yesterdays or those years. So it's all about moving forward from this day forward.
Yeah, I agree, gentlemen, wholeheartedly. What I want to do is talk to the men out there. I want to let you know that we have the Foundry experience. So if you haven't joined Foundry, you can go on and sign up for the next class by showing your interest real quick and go into the couplesacademy.org, looking at the services, and go into Foundry. And you can put your info in there. But if you're not quite ready, not quite sure, and just kind of want to find out what it's about, we're having the Foundry experience here in January. And I'd love to see you gentlemen out there. It's been open for a little while just to the men who've already been through Foundry, but we want people who haven't been through the Foundry program yet to come out as well, so you can actually meet with and talk with and see the examples of shining light that is showing up in these brothers' lives on a daily basis. So I'm going to go to that commercial real quick, and then we'll be right back.
When 45 men from all walks of life come together in one place for one purpose, there is a collective harmony that produces an amplification of power that leaves an impact on the lives of men that cannot be erased. A fraternity of legendary men, all at the tipping point, on the precipice of greatness, meeting for one weekend to turn their worlds inside out. For the first time ever, the Foundry experience. Not an event, not a seminar or retreat, but an opportunity to come face to face with the man you were always destined to be. If you want a life that's better than the one that you are living, meet us January 2023 for the Foundry experience.
right, we're back. And I wanted to just acknowledge some of the people who showed up today in the comments. We got, let's see here. We got Tori Love. Good morning, Couples Academy family. Gunzalis, of course, you're right here with us today. Christina Jackson, good morning from Virginia. Camille from Charlotte. Welcome, Camille. Faith Ortega from the Philippines. Good evening to you. And welcome. Thank you for showing up. Sani, which is coming from England. And we got Ariel, who's coming from Charlotte as well. Good to see some Charlotte showing up today. We got Visham, which is showing up for Chicago. And okay, all right. We've got some good people coming up from all over the world. If I didn't get to you, I'll try to get to you. I see Angel saying, great morning, beautiful people. All right, I did notice a comment that I definitely want to address. Christina Jackson says, how can I be more supportive when my husband doesn't move quickly on things? This is good. I'm ready to cut the check and send him to Foundry, but he's hesitant. Am I doing too much? Fellas?
Absolutely not.
Foundry is an amazing experience, and no, you're not doing too much. You know, a lot of times men are hesitant to change because obviously it puts the responsibility on them to change. And what happens is we find ourselves in a predicament between, you know, wanting to do what I'm used to doing and searching out for what is the possibility of what I can do. And Foundry for myself personally has changed the trajectory of my life. The way I look at things, the way I think about things, how I handle things. And it's just an experience that is amazing. You know, we have connected with men from around the world. And so it's not just, you know, what you're used to or what your norm is, but it stretches you. And that's what men need. Men need to be stretched to be better versions of themselves. And I am on the path and have come a mighty long way of being a better version of myself. So no, you're not doing too much. Go ahead and cut the check and send him, push him out the door, drive him, put him on the pigeon, whatever you have to do to get him to Foundry.
Well, here's the other thing. Look, Christine, there's a couple ways you can go about this. The Foundry experience is going to be very much different. So, like, I would love for him to join the Foundry class. And that's a bunch of brothers who have never met each other getting in and going through it from day one together. But the Foundry experience is going to be a way for him to actually meet and see people who've been through that experience, as well as meet some people who are considering that experience. And it's a short version commitment, 3 days versus 12 weeks of intense work. Maybe we can inspire him by having him go to this. I hate using this word. It's not a retreat. But for him, it may be in the beginning. So if that's the way you say, hey, look, why don't you go check it out? That's a great way. Another thing that I want to definitely bring up is if you're considering coming to either the event or joining the course, is that if you want to talk to somebody, if you can get him to just talk to one of us, whether it's Asani or myself, we'd be more than glad to take a 15-minute call and just kind of go over what they can expect, set some expectations, and answer some questions. So we're more than willing to have that conversation. So definitely, I want to thank you for asking your question, Christina. But definitely, we're here to support in any way we can. And at the end of the day, I used to own a company called CTC Holdings. I was cut the check, right? So cut the check. One of the things I did with my spouse when we were trying to find a new way forward, because of some trauma that didn't have anything to do with me per se, but just some other things, is I actually stepped up and spent some money on vacations, and she didn't want to spend that money on those things. And when I did, I went on and booked it and told her I couldn't get it back. Now she had to go. And putting them in that situation sometimes is the best thing. You know your spouse, you know your situation better than I do. So I will tell you that the experience is probably the one that you'd want to do that one on. The other one probably needs a conversation, like I said, with us. But the experience is definitely something that he'll enjoy. I guarantee it. But let's get back into it, guys. Let's talk about trust a little bit more, right? Restoring trust and consistency, right? The steps to restoring trust, right? I talked about this a little bit in one of the other shows, even last week, but I really want to talk about, remember we talked about the certainty bridge. Because at the end of the day, all of you are here for one thing: certainty. In almost everything we do in life, we just want to be certain that it's going to work out, certain that we're going to arrive at the destination we've chosen for ourselves, certain that if I do this, this will work. And it's uncertainty that holds us back from everything. It's the fear, right? So on one side of this brick, this deep valley that's come in our lives, we have uncertainty, doubt, worry, fear, blame, shame, guilt. And on the other side of this vast crevice where there used to be nothing but solid foundation there before, it's pretty much all crumbled, is certainty. And that certainty, if I tell you that there's a life of wonder and joy and fulfillment right down the street, sitting in a bag, all you got to do is go get it. You're not going to necessarily believe me. But if I can show you in the binoculars, look, this bag is wonderful joy, and I can actually show you that and see it, then what we can do is build a bridge to get there, right? We can go from a fear, worry, doubt, and anxiety, no matter how bad the situation is, and move to a place where we can be certain once again. And what us guys have to realize is we've shattered that bridge, and we want to just jump right back into trust. We want to go, hey, I'm showing up. Like, I haven't done anything. It's been a month, right? It's been 2 months. But what we don't realize is we may have stopped doing the absolute horrific actions that caused, that was discovered and broke the trust. But there's a pile of small things that we considered insignificant that we've built up. And those things eroded at the foundation of that bridge, and eventually it collapsed. And we can't start with jumping right back into trust by not doing the crazy actions that we did after everything fell apart. We have to start with the building blocks that built trust in the first place. What say you?
Absolutely. You cannot build a house just with one brick. It takes a brick at a time, brick after brick after brick. And you have to be consistent. And sometimes you have to find systems that work for you to build that trust back up. But the most important thing is to be consistent, to be intentional, and to be determined to make sure that you rebuild on a solid foundation. The trust has been broken. The bridge has collapsed. And we have to make sure that when we're building, we build up stronger than it was before. And we want to make sure that we are determined and have the motivation to do so, to make sure that we set the foundation solid, that we build the bridge, that we make sure that it can withstand anything, right? And a lot of times we get discouraged because we've done it 1 or 2 times, and then we're not getting the praise or the acknowledgement of the fact that we've done it. But sometimes you have to do things not expecting anything in return, not expecting the praises, not expecting the accolades. You have to stay consistent on building. You have to have a goal in mind, and you have to press towards that goal.
Sorry about that, Jeff.
Go ahead.
The rubble. When you were talking about how everything crumbles and everything like that, everything I kept seeing was the rubble. You can use the rubble as your advantage, because those are the remnants. Those are the issues that we have to build upon to fortify and strengthen those issues that we had in the past. As far as building a foundation, you have to start from somewhere. And like Roland said, you got to build from the bottom up. You cannot build from the top down. You're lying to yourself. You have to build on top of consistency after consistency and find your integral being. Once I stopped doing the things that I used to do that made matters worse, I focused on making things right and doing it a lot better. And once I focused on doing the things that were not even better, it was just the focus that I had to be intentional, to climb up higher within the marriage, within myself, and just to be integral in all things.
See, in order to build back better, I know I'm still on the campaign line, but in order to build this thing back better, see, you can't go back to the way it was when things were good. It has to be built better, right? The last thing you want to do is use 1920s technology to build a 2020 bridge, right? So we want to make sure that this one doesn't crumble. This one doesn't have an opportunity. And we've locked out on all of our security systems to make sure that this one lasts for a millennia. We don't want it to crumble like this one did. And so in order to do that, we have to build the foundation, as Gunzalis and Roland were saying, we have to build that foundation on a solid ground. But it starts with creating a belief. Now, all the wives out there, and I know how y'all love your lists, your honey-do that list, those checklists when you meet a guy, those checklists on whether your husband is being honest or not, those checklists are important. Sometimes they're a pain for us men, but they're there. And in order to reestablish trust, a lot of you want to reestablish trust and you're dealing with triggers. I'm telling you, you want to have another list. These are the things that you want to be able to believe. Now, I would suggest for the men that you ask your spouses this. If you're watching, ask your spouses what they need to be able, what they want to be able to believe about you again. And you're going to find that list is going to have some dramatic things and it's going to have a lot of simple things, right? We often want to fix the dramatic right away, right? And we want the trust to be restored because we're not running the streets anymore. We're not this anymore. But it's the little things that led up to this. I guarantee you, your spouse has been biting their tongue for years. And then there was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, right? And if we just go back and figure out what we want to be able to believe again in order for this relationship to work and create lists. Now, I think that comes on both sides. What does the husband want to believe? Because there were things in his own self that were torn down that caused him to act the way that he does. A lot of times it's insecurity of some kind. And there are things that the spouse can do to contribute to that security system of believing in themselves and realizing themselves and being supportive in that way. But there are also a lot of things that the spouse needs to believe in order to restore trust again. And from those two lists, you can identify a goal. Now, you may have some of the same things on the list, right? And so from that becomes an action plan because that first step is forming a belief. This is how we get back to trust. It starts from fear, doubt, worry, etc., and then moves into wanting to have a new belief to reestablish that connection. That's the first leg. That's the first segment of the bridge. Next, we move to faith, which means we're going to take an action plan on these steps. Now, these will be individual and they will be combined action steps that we're going to do. And this is going to require consistency and transparency, right? And if we can build that consistency and that transparency by taking actions on the small things, not making any major decisions to do anything wrong in that time period, but working on these small things and working our way up to the much more difficult things, we can begin to demonstrate faith with each other. And that faith is action based on the belief. And then also the last one is going to be, not the last one, the next to the last one is going to be trust. See, when someone has performed the same task over and over and over again without fail, it's only natural to trust. See, trust isn't something your wife can naturally do. I mean, unnaturally do. She can't just wake up and decide to trust you again. Trust comes from consistency, right? And then when you've been consistent for a period of time in all the small things as well as the big things, all those things that you said you're going to do, not just with infidelity. A lot of times we think we fix that. Oh, the problems are fixed. But when you say you're taking out the trash, take out the trash. Mm-hmm. When you say you're going to get up in the morning, if you say you're going on a diet, go on a diet. If you're going to work out, then go work out. If you're going to say you're going to do anything, show up and do it. And if you show up and do what you say you're going to do every single time, regardless of the circumstances, this comes first. I committed, I am going to do it. When you commit and you do it over and over again, you will find that trust is only natural. And after a period of trust, there will become certainty and there will be no more questions. Let's say you.
Hey, Jeff, you talk about the little things, man, and that is so key and so important because we want to just go after the big things, and that's going to fix it all. That's going to change everything. But when we talk about being consistent, like you said, with the little things, you know, a lot of times we use our phones as an example. We want to become territorial over those things. Well, that's a little thing that could be fixed to start. That's a starting point. Let's be consistent with your phone, the thing that you hold on to, the thing that got you in trouble, the thing that, you know, that's your vice, right? Let's start there, you know. But a lot of times, because if we're hiding, right, we don't want to give up those things that are going to keep us doing the things that we don't want to change. Mm-hmm. So we have to make sure that we are changing, starting with those little things, as you said, that are causing big problems, right? We want to just fix the big problems. Oh, well, I stopped going out. I stopped hanging out with my boys. I stopped hanging out with my girls. Well, no, that's not the thing that really mattered. The fact of the matter was you told me that you were going to do X, Y, and Z, and you didn't do it. You told me you were going to share your password or your phone or whatever, but you didn't do it. And we hold on to these territorial things that can be really set the tone for changing the relationship, but we don't want to do that. And we have to be consistent with doing the small things. We have to be intentional on doing the small things to get the big things done.
That's right. That's right. I see Jessica and Jason Spur. I believe this is Jessica. My husband, she says, the only thing I want is for my husband to share his phone and tell me things. Okay. That's a hard thing for a lot of men. I remember for me, I used to tell a bunch of little lies that were insignificant, but those little lies ended up being why my wife couldn't trust me. When I stopped doing the major stuff, the little lies got in the way. The little lies, me saying, hey, you know, find an excuse to stay out with the boys and then giving her an excuse that I was working late, even though I was doing something completely innocent. Right? Just talking with the guys, the fellas, just chopping it up after work or whatever. I was doing something completely innocent, but I lied to her about it so she couldn't trust anything that I said. Mm-hmm. Even though she validated and verified later that was all true, why did you lie to me? You know, sitting in the parking lot of the grocery store, talking to your friend on the phone, right? But you're late coming home from getting the groceries. Why can't you just say, hey, look, see, I was on a call for such and such. So for you men who are having a problem with this phone thing, I'm going to give one piece of advice and one piece of advice only. You don't know what you clean. If you stopped your actions, primarily stop all your actions that you were doing that were wrong. And if you still have that same phone, get a new one and only transport the contacts, deleting the contacts that are no longer relevant to your marriage and your life. That may even be some of the fellas that you have to delete. Get a brand new phone, start from scratch, and then leave that phone, charge it by your wife's bed. Give her the passcode. Let her look at it at night when she's insecure. Because when she starts going on ghost hunts, on snipe hunts, and I hate to use this word, but witch hunts, and she keeps finding that there's nothing there. See, those triggers that are going to cause her to search and investigate, if you can just remain calm because you're not doing anything, don't get all excited, go on and give her access. Hey, babe, here it is. You don't even have to tell me when you want to look. Look when you want to look. My computer, my phone, here's all the passwords. Here you go. Charge it on her side of the bed. Show that ability to be transparent. And if you can do that for a period of time, slowly that trust will come back because they're going to be in that phone. I guarantee it's going to be 2 a.m. She's going to be sitting there looking at it, right? She's not going to want to at first, and then she's going to get in there anyway, and she's going to find nothing. And when she keeps finding nothing, those triggers will start to erode because nobody likes to chase phantoms. No one does. But you have to be honest, and you have to be transparent, and you have to be upfront. All right, guys, we've been on for a little while. You guys got anything you want to say to the people before we take it out?
Consistency is key. Continue to build your trust and stand firm, man. Stop lying. Just stop lying.
Stop lying to yourself, and it'll be easier to stop lying to others.
Yep.
What you tell yourself you're going to do. I'm not worried about what you tell other people you're going to do until you start telling yourself the truth. Stop saying you're going to do something, and then you look in the mirror and your own self, your own mind, your own body's like, yeah, you're not doing that. Stop making New Year's resolutions and start making new life changes.
That was a good one.
All right. So, guys, I want to thank you for joining us on the Couples Academy show. I'm going to take us out. Thank you for your questions and your comments. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Someone out there needs help. Someone you know. Maybe your situation is good. Maybe it isn't. Someone out there needs help. And I want you to reach out to us. I mean, you got a 15-minute discovery call. It's absolutely free to find out what we can do to help you out. For you men out there, Foundry for the women, Unearthed. Let's just get into this as we approach this new year. Let's start right now to begin building a foundation for that new year to be the most amazing year in our marriages and in our lives that we've ever had. And that'll begin with a decision today. So I want you to reach out if you need help. That's what we're here for. And you have the practitioners here with Roland and Hassani and myself and Lakeisha. And you have just an amazing staff that, and just call in for the free consultation. You'll find out who's probably the best person to work with you based on your situation. And let us be there for you. Just find out. It's worth the chance. It's worth the shot that your marriage can be restored and that you can live a life beyond your wildest dreams. So with that, I'm going to say, have a great morning, everybody. Let me see here if I can remember how to do this, guys. I am so terrible at this. But once again, I'm going to just let you guys know about Last Chance Weekend coming up. And here we go. Couples Academy is committed to serving couples around the world by reaching beyond cultural lines and language barriers. We are proud to announce that we now serve the Spanish-speaking community. So whether you're here in the United States or abroad, Couples Academy has a place for you.
Couples Academy se compromete a servir parejas de todo el mundo, superando las fronteras culturales y las barreras del idioma. Ahora, estamos orgullosos de anunciar que servimos a la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces, ya sea que estés aquí en los Estados Unidos o en el extranjero, Couples Academy está aquí para servirle.